to be Elite Pod. I'm Shawn Michael.
And I'm Party Johnnetty. And together, we are the PodRockers.
The PodRockers recording BEP live from our home Elite studios to bring you the PodRocker Nation, the very best in AEW wrestling commentary. And this week, we are bringing you a Road to preview for AEW's All Out pay-per-view taking place August 31st at the Sears Center Arena in Hoffman Estates, Illinois. Since we got Fight for the Fallen, I have been grasping, hoping, waiting, ready for some more wrestling, and we are just about to get that here pretty soon. Party Johnnetty, just a few days away, we get the granddaddy of them all pay-per-view. I'm calling it the granddaddy of them all, because I'm pumped for this and ready to rock and roll.
I definitely agree with you, Shawn Michael. It is going to be a fun time had by all. And even though we've had some news related to the event, which we'll get into, nothing's going to stop us from having a good time with it.
Yeah, so we're going to jump into our gorilla position for this and kind of take a look at the matches and preview kind of what we're excited for in these different matches from All Out. So the first one that they have planned for this pay-per-view is a new tag team that I am super excited about, Private Party, and they're going to be taking on Angelico and Jack Evans. So, Party Johnnetty, how are you feeling about this match?
Oh man, this is going to be a good match, especially if they decide to have this as their opener. This is going to whet the appetite for all those out there. People are going to get to see a little bit more of Private Party, what they're able to do. I think that's a great team to have against them with Angelico and Jack Evans. Those guys are talented in their own right. The downside for this, though, is if Private Party goes over, and Angelico and Jack Evans really have been on a losing streak.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That just cements them in such a column that it's like, what are they going to do? So they really kind of need this win, but Private Party is on such a hot streak right now, not only with just wrestling in general, but the whole everyone focus on them. And it's like even they need this win in order to advance and being the next talked about tag team. So really the loser is going to get hit hard in this. Whoever loses, it's not a good thing for them, but for the winner, it's going to be great. And if Angelico and Jack Evans win, that just means that they're going to solidify their spot within the tournament. Like they're going to be a tag team that you're going to go, hey, all right, we know that, they're going to make it far in this tournament. If they lose, then it's like, okay, well, we don't expect them to get past the first round in this tournament that happens in October.
Yeah, I mean, Private Party, I don't know if they have a win yet in AEW.
Yeah, right. I don't think so. That debut match that they had, they didn't win. So it really is kind of a, I think Angelico and Jack Evans have more of a loss. I don't think that they have talked about yet the idea of if the person who gets pinned picks up the L when it's one of those multi-man matches, or if it's like, hey, everyone takes the L and the winners get the W in the column. And I don't know if they're going to actually mention that. Maybe they will, maybe they have, and we just haven't caught it yet, but it doesn't look good for either team.
So in your opinion, are you kind of enjoying that? Because like it does kind of make this match mean a lot more, because the person that wins, the team that wins, is kind of, if they're getting over a little bit more, they're going to be going into that tag team tournament with a win and kind of have that, that rush of adrenaline and that, motivation and, the just the win itself to kind of keep themselves going forward. Do you get a little bit more like this match means more than like a typical tag team opener from anything else you've seen before?
It kind of does, and that's where the wins and losses walk a fine line that you have to be mindful of, because if Angelico and Jack Evans lose this, then they don't mean anything to me anymore. They don't seem like a serious tag team, even though I know that they're talented. To me, they've fallen into basically enhancement talent at this point. Whereas if Private Party lose this, well, you have all this build up to them, and then they lost the match, and although they still could be seen as a good tag team, or there could be a possibility of something happening in the match, some mess ups or someone comes out, distractions. You have to put all that into play. I feel that if they took the L in this, it wouldn't mean nearly as much for them because they're still hot. But then again, you're going to have the fans going, well, why the heck did you promote these guys so much to have them just take the loss here? So really, that's why I said it's kind of like a lose-lose for the loser here. No one really wins with these two tag teams, and that's the worrisome when it comes to that. It's going to be a great victory for the winner, and I mean, it seems like it'd be even better victory if Angelico and Jack Evans win, but on the other side, you have to worry about, okay, well, those who are paying attention to the win-loss record already see that Angelico and Jack Evans are on a losing streak big time. I think they've wrestled 3 times now in AEW?
I think so. It's been a few times, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think they've secured a victory at all. And if so, I can't remember. Maybe they did?
That's what I'm going to be excited about, too, is when they actually kind of like explain the rules behind the win-losses and kind of what it means, like if you see a standings or because right now it's very much kind of unspoken.
Yeah.
So we don't really know what it means. We know it matters, but we just don't know, okay, how much does it matter? Because in most organizations, if Angelico and Jack Evans could lose this match, but they could go on and win the tag team titles next month, But here, it's like, well, they're 0-4. Like, no, they don't get a shot at the title. But then he could play on like the redemption storylines and things like that. But yeah, I'm really curious. I hope that All Out they kind of start explaining that because, like we were just saying earlier on, we still have 4 weeks before we get to AEW on TNT. So there's still a lot of time there that either they can start explaining that stuff then, or I just kind of they've done a good job of wanting more. But I don't know how I'm going to feel sitting for another 4 weeks waiting for that more. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, right. I mean, then on the other hand, I didn't even think about this until just now with us talking. Maybe that this is a moment, too, where Angelico and Jack Evans go, hey, we don't make a good tag team anymore here in AEW. Let's split up and let's go singles.
That's true.
And then we see him on the single scene. So there is a situation where I guess you could write that either way. Singles guys that are down on their luck decide to get together and make a good tag team, try their hand at being a tag team, or vice versa. Does a team break up and then try to go their separate ways? Whereas you can't really do that with Private Party because these guys kind of come packaged. I think you'd have a better opportunity with Angelico and Jack Evans to split them up and have them go on a singles run.
Kind of make them, they split up, maybe do that singles run for a little bit and then get back together and kind of have that, the trade that gets them back together kind of thing like in sports. And now they're kind of powered back together to make a run at those tag titles.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah. So I guess it does kind of write itself.
So the next match we have coming up is one I'm kind of excited about because I love Riho so far, what we see from him, but seen from her. But we have Riho versus Hikaru Shida. So Riho I've seen a lot of, but Hikaru Shida, I mean, I think I've maybe seen her in a couple matches in AEW. I can't remember which one she was in, but what do you think about this match?
Oh, I think it will be just another perfect opportunity for people to see everything that they want to know with Japanese wrestling. I think it's going to be a good match regardless. And I don't know if Hikaru Shida actually has... I don't know when she joined AEW. I think back in April she joined. So I guess it just depends on what type of fan you are of women's wrestling or Japanese female wrestling too. To me, I'm excited about this match and the potentials that it has. It could go either way. I don't know what that's going to mean for obviously the women's championship, because are they going to be able to go into the 21 women casino battle royal after this? Usually that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I would think you'd give them the opportunity to at least, but yeah, it's a good question to ask.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if this is just kind of a, hey, we need a filler match and we know this is going to be a good one, or if it's going to mean anything. I think it's going to be a fun match to watch regardless.
Yeah, I'll be excited for it. I've loved seeing some of those matches so far, so I'm pumped for it. And that's going to lead us into the next match then, too, like you just mentioned, the 21 Women Casino Battle Royale, where the winner will receive a match for the inaugural AEW Women's World Championship, which is scheduled to be competed for on October 2nd on AEW on TNT. So I know a lot of people didn't like how the Casino Battle Royale went down in Double or Nothing, but I kind of like that style. I do. I mean, I like the traditional where everybody gets their own entrance, but it is kind of neat to get 4 rounds of people coming to the ring and then the wild card.
Yeah, right.
But in this, I'm curious. We got Teal Piper who's going to be jumping in this. We've got Big Swole they just announced. Jazz. Who else have they announced for this? I can't remember all the names.
Oh gosh. Man, let's see.
Nyla Rose, Britt Baker,
yes,
Allie, Teal Piper. So a lot of, and Brandy Rhodes is supposed to be in there too. So it's really exciting. You go through this, and I don't know who's gonna win. I feel like when Double or Nothing, you had that when you saw Paige come out last. I kind of felt like you're like, okay, that's the dude that's gonna win it, right?
Yeah,
but
right.
with this, it's really hard to tell. In my heart of hearts, I want Britt Baker to win because I've really enjoyed everything she's done so far. She's kind of put her as the face of the women's, section of this organization. So I really like her. They've really been pushing Teal Piper though, and I hope she's all that they're hyping her up to be. But she hasn't had any professional matches that I'm aware of or I've seen. So you kind of wonder, is that a name recognition thing, or does she have kind of not just the Piper name, but the Piper skills?
Yeah, right. I think that right now they're just kind of focusing on the name recognition, and this is a big thing for them, and it could either do well or it could blow up in their face. I know a lot of people are big on Teal Piper right now, just in general. I think she signed something with Women of Wrestling as well. And she's just gonna have her work cut out for her. That's a huge shadow to fall in. You have a father like that. That's a legend, and just in the same boat as any of the Flair kids. Really, it's any kid that has such a popular father. Look at Cody and Dustin, even.
Oh yeah,
Dusty Rhodes. It's always you're wrestling in your father's shadow, and it's going to be interesting to see for Teal Piper what can happen, especially when you're getting so much publicity right now. WWE, for instance, might look at that and they might just be laughing because they're like, "What are they doing? They're taking a green as goose shit person and putting him in a match." Now, I don't know how much experience Teal Piper has had that they're not talking about. There is a possibility that Teal Piper has already been trained. There is a possibility that she's had a few independent matches that we just don't know about. That maybe if we looked into it more and did the investigative journalism side of thing instead of partying like we like to do.
I know, right?
We would know a little bit more about it. But I will say this. It's getting people to talk about it. And so in my eyes, that's a success. What will happen though? Will she botch? Will it be big? If that happens, then no. The best thing that can come of that is that she's absolutely amazing and she does well in it. The second best thing that happens is she holds her own and then gets eliminated. And then oh yeah, that wasn't bad.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hide the green in a Royal Rumble or not. Or if it would expose it more. I'm just not really sure because it feels like Royal Rumbles, they always throw a lot of people into it.
Yeah, right. And that is, yeah, you do hide the green a little bit more in those situations. Usually when a guy is starting, it's not uncommon to see someone get into a battle royal because it's very easy, just over the top rope type of thing. And or they start in a tag match of some nature. It's just to help the guys and the gals out to get a better understanding of the ring, the environments, to a better situation of their surroundings. So Battle Royal is actually kind of perfect for those moments. You get a little taste of everything. You don't have to worry too much. You're not going to win the Battle Royal because you're green. So all you have to worry about is when you're going to get thrown out and if you can actually make yourself look good getting thrown out.
So in your experience and everything and kind of what you know, so let's say she started 6 months ago training and did some independent stuff. If she had, even half the skill that her dad did, let's say she's a little bit ahead of the, a normal person jumping into it. Do you think she could be prepared for, AEW on TNT, or do you think that's kind of a stretch even for somebody with a little bit of talent?
Gosh, that's so hard because we've seen this kind of thing happen, and it still does happen with WWE. People that aren't really that talented still making their debut just because they have other talents that really showcase them. But when it comes to the sides of the wrestling itself, a lot of that is really hard, and not a lot of people can still learn that. Even if they train and they go through it, some people are just natural at it. If she had half the talent that her dad did, and it depends on who you talk to, some people might say, her dad wasn't even that talented when it came to the wrestling side of thing. I disagree, but there might be some people out there that go, well, do you remember more of Roddy's mouth than you do his matches? And it really is her. Could she... And I don't even know, will she get signed to AEW after this? This might just be a one-time deal, because I don't know how they're going to deal with her being on Access TV with women wrestling. Are they going to be okay with that? I guess, because, they have hired these Joshi wrestlers. Women's wrestling outside kind of has a little bit more of a leeway, but it might reach the point where they say, no, either you sign full-time with us or you can't wrestle on any other TV.
Well, like you said, the news that just came out this week, I would imagine they're going to start pulling the reins on that and be like, all right, we're not going to be pushing these guys and gals that are not fully invested in AEW, the ones that aren't signed exclusively, because you run the risk of things happening.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing, too. Like, you take a look at some of these guys, they still have these contracts with MLW, for instance, or they still have their indie contracts out there. A lot of these guys don't have those exclusive AEW contracts, and so they can still go out and they can still promote, and you want to concentrate on your product. It would be kind of foolish to promote someone that's not solely exclusive to you.
Agreed, yeah. I mean, it's just dangerous because, like you said, especially with these pay-per-views that, they're only doing like 4 a year, if you start promoting those a month, 2 months out, like this one's probably more like 3 months out, and you lose that big key name you've been building up to for it, it's just like, oh, all right, what can we reach into for our bag of tricks?
Yeah, right. Another thing though with the Casino Battle Royale that I'm excited about is the possibility that we don't know who is going to be entered into it. I know we had talked about that a little bit to see who we would guess would be in it, but that factor has me excited as well to see what it is. Will some woman on the independent scene or freshly off of maybe a WWE contract or whatnot, or not for a while, has been with the WWE, get that kind of wild card, the Joker card? I'm excited either way. Really, there's a lot that can go about with this. I think Brandy's smart about playing it up the way that she's doing. I know, she's kind of like, maybe even me, wink.
Yeah.
And I feel like hers actually, I'm not believing that she's going to try to put herself over. I really feel that Brandy's a businesswoman first. I feel like a lot of them are, don't get me wrong, but out of all of them, it's like, she seems to me to be like the one, she and Cody actually, that are kind of like, no, we're going to do our roles and we're going to separate the wrestlers from us and, listen to the reactions of the fans. You don't want something that's kind of boring and has already happened. And it's like, oh, hey, look, Brandy wins the women's tournament.
Oh, look, Mr. and Mrs. are the world champions of AEW. Great.
Yeah,
we haven't seen this story before.
Yeah, so we don't want to see something like that, definitely. We want to see something big and fun happen, and who knows? It really is. The cool thing about this is we have no clue who's going to win. And could even be a spot where the Joker is someone that we know that's already signed, but they lose the spot. Joker's a good spot to have, but it doesn't mean that you have the automatic win.
Yeah, exactly.
we'll see. We'll see. Will they do a repeat like they did with Adam Page? Joker's going to win it. And then you have essentially this great storyline statistics of, hey, out of the bracket, if you find yourself in the hearts category, you have a 33 and a third chance of making it to the finals. If you pull the Joker card, you have a 80% chance of winning, something like that. So it'll be cool to see what they do with it.
Well, the next match we have coming up too, I'm really excited for this one. It's Team I Hate My Body. It's a triple threat match with Darby Allin, Joey Janela, and Jimmy Havoc. So these guys teamed up at the last pay-per-view and lost. They had a great little, scrum in the back after the match. Joey Janela was super pissed, talking about, I'm 0-2. Jimmy Havoc was pissed about it. Darby Allin was pissed about it. But we're going to get this triple threat. And it's another situation where I feel like all three of these guys need a win.
Yeah, right.
And, Darby Allin's the only one out of this group so far, I think, that kind of has some bragging rights because he's kind of 0-1-1. He's got a tie against, Cody, which is really cool. But this is going to be an intense match. I'm super excited for this because these are three guys that I've loved so far in everything I've seen. And this is actually a match I feel like might steal the show.
Yeah, man. This one is definitely it was getting hyped and then it's kind of sat silent for a bit, so it might steal the show. These three guys, there was that fun little Instagram/Facebook clip of them beating each other up, and then Blink 182 is right there and they're like, Joey Janela, not again. I really love what's going on with this, and I'm kind of surprised that they hadn't pushed it this week on anything. Maybe we'll see it for the Road to All Out episode that comes out this week, but man, this should be a fun match. All three of these guys, you're right, it definitely is. There's another one that a win means something to all these guys because none of these guys have a win right now. So really, what's going to happen going forward with it? I mean, in this case, even though none of them have wins, these guys have built up just this persona around each one of them that I feel like no matter what, people are still going to love them. And it might get to the point where maybe Darby Allin doesn't win, but he becomes this underdog that people just still love and they're waiting for that win. Or maybe finally Jimmy Havoc gets to showcase himself. Here's a dude that is a veteran in his own right, and he actually gets to get some offense on and then showcase what he's all about. And then of course you have Joey Janela, which a lot of people love just in general, and a lot of people would be happy if he won. Either way, I feel like it's a win for the fans in this one, and even though the other two will lose, they're not going to get harmed by that loss.
I agree with that. What's really going to be cool about this, because when we saw that triple or the 6-man tag at Fight for the Fallen, a lot of these guys got some good pop from the crowd.
Yeah.
Darby was getting his name chanted. Joey had some pop going. Jimmy, I don't think had a ton, but he had a little bit still. It'll be interesting to see how the crowd reacts to these guys. Who are they pushing for? It'd be awesome if you had 40% Darby, maybe 30% Joey, 30% Jimmy. You're some kind of nice mix where the crowd is, everybody's pulling for somebody different.
Yeah, right.
Because that's the other thing you see kind of getting pushed with the AEW is it's not like they're not trying to do a lot of the face and heel. They are a little bit, but they definitely don't want the crowd to be 100% behind one guy or 100% against the other guy. They kind of want that mix, which is kind of a sporting event, right? No matter where you go, there's always a mix of the away team's fans because people travel. So that's going to be super exciting for this. I imagine it's going to be pretty intense. It's not a hardcore match that I saw. So it's going to be a traditional, just triple threat match. So really, really excited for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So our next match, one that's been talked about for a while, was the chair shot heard around the world. We are getting Cody versus Shawn Spears, and there's only going to be a +1 for each of these guys. Shawn Spears is bringing down Tully. Cody has not announced who he's bringing down yet. Maybe we'll find out on Wednesday. So, I'm excited for this match. It'll be super great. So far, Cody said, I think, awesome matches. That Darby match was amazing. He had the 5-star match with his brother. But I want to know, Party Johnnetty, when are you going to announce that you are Cody's +1? I saw the email. I saw it come through.
We're not supposed to. We can't talk about that. We can't talk about that. It's still under wraps. No, man, this match is fun, and it has me excited. I want this old school Southern style beatdown brawl between the two of these guys, man. I just love it. And if I had any guesses to who Cody's +1 would be, I mean, one that stands out is Diamond Dallas Page. That could be an obvious one, an obvious choice, just because of his connection and his relationship. What would get a really big pop, I feel, is if Arn Anderson came out as his +1. Another pop would be JJ Dillon, and just having that little bit of this fierceness, this little bit of conflict between the four horsemen coming out. Could you imagine if Arn comes out and there's Tully, and they have such a relationship together? That would be crazy. I don't know. I really don't know who Cody's +1 would be. To me, maybe Diamond Dallas Page, just because it kind of makes sense. But really, it would have to be, what would be great is if he could have brought his dad down because of the Dusty Tully rivalry. But you got to get the next best thing. What's the next best thing? Well, I mean, try to think of some of the older rivalries with Tully Blanchard or the Four Horsemen. It's a little bit harder to come up with an idea of who would be a good person to get. And I mean, hopefully it's not just kind of a dud either. So
yeah, I mean, I think I love the Arn idea. I think that would be awesome because it kind of goes into the nostalgia of all that. Like, you're reintroducing some of these newer fans to the earlier 70s and 80s wrestling. I feel like it might be too on the nose and too obvious, but I feel like it might be MJF. And I'm a little concerned that that's going to be kind of a, MJF costing him the match kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, right.
And starting a feud with Cody and MJF. That seems a little too obvious. The other thing, the other kind of on the nose one would be his brother, Dustin, coming down.
Oh, yeah. Right.
I really like the Arn idea. That would be awesome. Did Dustin and Tully ever have anything back in the day? Or was Tully kind of done by the time he got in?
Yeah, I believe. Oh, was it Tully? Man, I'm trying not to get mixed up. Tully might have broken Dustin's arm in a vehicle, like in a car door. I mean, kayfabe, of course. I'm trying to remember who it was. It might have been that Tully and Arn might have jumped Dustin and broke his arm in the door back in the WCW days.
Oh, that'd be an awesome callback. I mean, I know you're not supposed to beat up the elderly, but if Dustin did that to Tully.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I'm trying. My brain's just not what it was, man. But there's something there that I remember with Tully and I think Dustin, now that you mention that.
Yeah, and I know so far, like, I kind of dig Shawn Spears a little bit, like some of the stuff that he's done in his interviews. I feel like, again, this is kind of the theme I've gotten. It's actually going to be some of my cheap heat, I think, but I feel like these storylines aren't getting fully fleshed out. Like, we had a really good, road to, I think it was like a week or two with Cody and Shawn, like, where it was just Cody and Shawn in this. And they were going through it, and, like, they're saying, this is what we want. Cody just walked in, signed the thing, and walked out. Didn't even read it. But that's kind of where it died out. We haven't really heard much more from it since then. So that kind of feels like it's making this, it's just kind of like we're walking through molasses a little bit with these storylines. I think that's just what hurting not having a fully weekly TV show going yet. But yeah, this is one that I'm excited for because, again, there's a surprise to it. Who's Cody's +1? What does it mean for the winner of this match? So much on the line here and so much history too, which will be really, really cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Either way, to me, I don't think that this feud's going to end here.
No,
if anything, it just keeps building up.
So the next match we have is the first championship match of the night. It's the Lucha Brothers versus the Young Bucks and the Escalera de la Muerte for the AAA World Tag Team Championship. Party Johnnetty, we are known for getting high up on ladders and not jumping off because health insurance reasons, we gotta be safe, right? So we climb back down. But what do you feel about this Triple A World Tag Team Championship ladder match?
Oh, this is going to be a fun one. And if anything, I know I've mentioned this before, I will be severely disappointed if the Lucha Brothers do not win this because of this build-up. It's going to be a great back and forth. I think really you're going to showcase to a lot of newer fans what the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers can do in a ladder match. There's obviously ladder matches out there that you can watch, but I think a lot of fans will get a good match with this and get a good idea of just how talented these two are. And if anything, this might be what ends the rivalry, the feud between the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks at All Out. And either way, I know I always say it, the fans will be the winners of this match.
Yeah, and I know I'm starting to work my way through Being the Elite, and they got some of their ladder matches with the Hardys they went through. So, in what you've seen, are the Young Bucks on par with, like you'd say, like the Hardys and Edge and Christian when it comes to ladder matches? Are they a tick below, a tick above? Like, where do they kind of rank in there?
It's kind of tough. I mean, really, they've had some great ladder matches, and they just haven't had the right platform to showcase how talented they are. So you kind of really can't compare them in a way, but yeah, I would say they're just as talented as the Hardys and Edge and Christian for sure. When it comes to this kind of thing, you'll definitely be excited to see it. And even so, I mean, the Young Bucks and the Hardys have fought and have put on some great matches. So definitely, I think that their talent is up there when it comes to like the ladders and the spots with all that.
Yeah, I'm pumped for it. And I wonder if this will be kind of because we had the unsanctioned match from Fyter Fest, which was, I would say, was like just your very typical hardcore match. So I wonder if this ladder match will be the first real violent match we see in AEW, where you kind of, because there's some ladder matches that make me kind of cringe when you see the guys coming off. And I know they said, I think Matt does some crazy stuff off the top of the ladder. So I'm really curious to see how it goes. I'm really excited for it too. Like I've said that for a bunch of these, but the matches we've seen with these guys are super intense. They've got a huge history. They know their moves. I kind of am in the same boat. If the Young Bucks come out on top, I'll probably be a little bit like, all right, we've seen it. Let's not make the Young Bucks invincible here.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, if you see the Lucha Brothers come out on top, oh man, that's going to be awesome. So our next match we have is the Best Friends versus the Dark Order. It's a tag team match. The winner of this gets a first round bye in the AEW World Tag Team Championship Tournament. So I'll be a little bit of a dud on this one. This match, I'm like, okay, I'll watch it, but it's not one that's sticking out to me on the card. And it feels way down in the card too.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Have they announced that this is going to be like at this spot on the card, or have they just kind of announced the matches? I know sometimes they tell us what order it's going to be in, and sometimes they don't. Yeah,
I'm not 100% sure. I know it's been pretty consistent when I've looked at this, so it could alter the day of. Because I could probably see the next match that we have on our list coming before this, and this could kind of be the calm before the championship match. Like that would kind of make sense. Like you have that big match that we'll talk about next, and then you have this one, then the championship match. But again, Dark Order, they were good in the triple tag team match they had. I thought Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus did a lot better in my opinion, and I like them a lot more. I thought I'd be more excited in this match if that was the case. The Best Friends, I kind of think they do okay. Like I'm not really moved by them or anything, so I kind of feel not cheated in a bad way, but a little cheated that this is the winner of this match gets the bye. Like I feel like there's other tag teams that probably deserve that more than these two. But I probably could see this happening as the match before the main event.
Yeah, right. It could be kind of like that, blow off steam match, like you said. I think it definitely. I don't know. I'm not like. I think it'll be a fun match, but I'm not looking forward to it. I guess I'm not anxious about it. It's not the match that I want to see. It probably might be the least anticipated match for myself on the card. I I don't know. I like the Dark Order. I'm interested to see where they go. I think the Best Friends are a hilarious tag team, and I like them, but it doesn't. Other than that, it doesn't. There's nothing there for me that I just am like, I gotta watch this match.
The thing that'll excite me the most about this match is hopefully they announce the bracket, so we see all the tag teams that'll be involved and get the numbers, so we kind of can see how it'll work out. Like if they do that, that'll kind of get me more pumped, I think.
Yeah, I hear ya.
But yeah, not too much to say on that. But the next match we have, so originally this was supposed to be Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega. This was really like the first big match announced for All Out. You know, we had the attack at Double or Nothing. We had the retaliation at Fyter Fest. There was this big build-up, lots of stuff online. Jon Moxley's over in Japan, was trying to be like, I'm going to learn all Kenny Omega's moves. I'm going to, basically do what Kenny Omega did. And we just found out this week, he's got some elbow issues. He's going to have surgery, I think, or at least have something drained. It's like an infection. He will not be able to make it to All Out. So they have replaced him with somebody I haven't seen yet. Pac. So it's going to be Pac versus Kenny Omega. So I'll tee this up for you. What are you thinking about this match now that it's changed from Moxley to Pac?
Well, I mean, it's a shame that Moxley has to drop out, but I think if anything, this shows just kind of how much they care about the wrestlers. That's always a nice thing.
Oh, yeah.
And, he has MRSA staff, and that's nothing to, oh man, that's serious. You could end up getting your arm amputated in those situations. So that's really scary. So yeah, it's a bummer to see, but it just kind of sweetens the pot a little bit more for Moxley Omega when it happens. And that anticipation, I think, will keep continuing to build. However, the great thing too, and if you watch Being the Elite today on Monday, or when we talked about this, they announced it on that. And,
it was a great way to do it.
Yeah, they mentioned too, that are we sure we want to do this again? Last time, they teased it, but I think that's a good grab. If anything, you really brought it back with getting such a talented replacement in Pac, and I'm excited for that match too. You don't need any build up for me for this at all. That's just awesome. And Pac can come in too and just say, hey, I just wanted to beat Kenny Omega's ass, and I found the perfect opportunity because Moxley wasn't strong enough to do it himself. So Pac can get super heat on this, and it'll be a fun match regardless.
So the rumors I heard why Pac didn't come to Double or Nothing because he didn't want to lose. Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you have any concern that he's going to go over in this match and Kenny Omega is essentially going to be 0-2 in singles?
I don't know, to be honest, how they're going to plan the finish for this match. It did make sense that the reason why Pac, at least if you listen to the stories and whatnot, that he didn't want to lose is because he was the current champion.
Oh, okay.
And why would the champion in one federation, or promotion or whatever you want to call it, lose and not even the finals in another promotion?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, I understood, and like I know he had an idea of how he wanted it to go, and they just couldn't agree upon it. But I think it's just a thing out of respect. And now that he isn't the champion no longer in the federation that he was a part of, and I don't know I think he's still there, but I'm not positive. But now he doesn't have anything tied to him where it would look bad if he lost. So really, you want to keep your champions strong. I totally understand that. And it just in this manner, if Pac wins or if Kenny Omega wins, I think you still have storylines on top of storylines to go from it. So who knows? It's going to be a good match regardless.
Yeah, that makes sense. I kind of liked, I don't know if you caught the Easter eggs in there when they're talking about it. They mentioned, like, should we give Marty a call? Yeah. And then they said, well, what about Flip? Like, no, yes. we can't book Flip. And I'm like in the Being the Elite where that's the whole storyline for All In, where Flip is constantly trying to get himself booked for it. Yes. So it's like perfect timing for me on that.
Yeah, right.
But we'll jump to the main event then. This is the singles match for the inaugural first AEW World Champion. And we have Adam Page taking on midlife crisis Chris Jericho. So what are you thinking about this match? We've talked about it a little bit, but how are you feeling about this match?
Oh man, this should be a fun one. The only thing that has me concerned with it is just how much obvious, if you watch stuff online, that they're really pushing Adam Page. They just kind of released this other thing where they do this hotel. What do you call that when you order from your room?
Room service.
Room service. Yes, thank you. They do like this hotel room service thing, little show where the Bucks interview basically Adam Page while eating room service. And it's a fun little video, but man, it really felt like they're like, okay, Page is going to be your champion. And throughout all of this, the Being the Elites, the Road 2s and all that, Jericho had been pretty much silent on it, besides, maybe a tweet here or there or an Instagram post or whatever. But it really was kind of like, all right, well, where's Jericho's side in this? And so we finally got something on Being the Elite on Monday where Jericho is talking about kind of, and I hate to say it, but it's like half-heartedly mentioning how he needs to be the champion.
It seemed like he was very desperate.
Yeah.
I say midlife crisis almost like almost seriously, because it feels like he feels, just in his character here, is that, if I don't win, like, this is the end of Chris Jericho. Like, I'm over the hill. Like, if I can't win this match, I'm done. Yeah,
right. Yeah. And so it's, I don't know. I think Chris has talked about it in the past too, where when you are doing your promo against a guy, you don't want to call a guy old or anything like that, or say you're worn out or you're washed up and whatnot, because then what happens, you get beat. If the finishes you get beat by the guy, then you got beat by a worn, washed out old man.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And if you beat him, you look like an asshole.
Yep.
And so it's a no-win in there. And he almost kind of did that to himself, really. Like, hey, am I over? Are we going to seriously get... I like how you phrased it, the midlife crisis Jericho. And maybe that is. Maybe that's where that ends up going down the line. And, maybe he wins it. Maybe Page wins it, and then he doesn't defend it. Like, his first match where he's defending it, he loses. And maybe he gets that rematch against Adam Page right away, and then Jericho wins it. I don't know. The setup's there. I just wish they would give Jericho a little bit more build up of this whole, like him fighting and really battling with himself. And if Jericho ends up losing, he only has himself to blame, because he already called himself like a loser in his own mind. And then you can go that route with it. And then you have another great chapter of Chris Jericho.
Oh, yeah.
Because the dude always rewrites himself.
Be interesting, like, you have him in this match where he basically outsmarts himself and loses way. Would be really interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I haven't seen the room service little skit they did yet, but I know in the Monday Being the Elite, the Adam Page was asking the Bucks to be in his corner during this match. It was very quick, and they're like, "Oh, we got the ladder match. We gotta run Gorilla. We got all this producing we gotta do." And he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, cool. Never mind. Don't worry about it." So I don't know if what that meant. Like, that felt like it was a pretty specific scene that they shot. So I'm curious how that'll play out.
Yeah, right.
And like you mentioned, the scene, like, they're selling in there. Like, well, what does this mean? Is this going to be Page versus, Cody and the Bucks, kind of thing, which would be interesting in itself. But yeah, I love we're going to get a champion, an AEW champion. This is going to lead us into AEW on TNT. So I am super pumped for All Out. Like, I am ready for it to be here.
Oh, yeah, me too. I know we didn't mention it, but they also announced another match on Being the Elite as well, and I think that's for the pre-show, possibly.
Oh, which one was that? I thought, it's SCU versus
Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, and Marco Stunt.
Yeah, I loved how they announced that too. Like,
that was fun.
It was, one of them was scared of a dinosaur, one was going to a Chuck E. Cheese, and the other was watching Jungle Book.
Yep.
I don't know how I feel about that match. I think it'll be good, but it just seems kind of a random match put together.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man, for sure. And I think that's why if they put it on their 0 hour or whatnot, that makes total sense to me. Just kind of let's get the crowd excited and get them ramped up for this.
Yeah. So are you ready to be booked in for a 5-hour pay-per-view?
Whew, man, that's always the tough thing, right? Doing these, it's just like, okay, gotta take time out of my schedule and make sure that I get this all watched and take notes and that everything I have is all prepped. It's like it's like intense training of any sort, man. And so yeah, 5 hours, no matter what acronym or letters you put into a name. Doesn't matter who it is. 5 hours is a long time for anything.
Yeah, I feel like that'll be a main event question. Like, how much is too much pay-per-view?
Yeah, right.
But
exactly.
So in our 5-star match segment, so I'm curious, Party Johnnetty, what do you think of these matches will be the top match, the 5-star match of All Out?
Oh man, so that's going to be a tough one because there are good contenders. There's obviously we have Cody versus Shawn Spears. That has a chance of stealing the show. You have the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks. That has a chance of stealing the show. And you also have Darby Allin, Joey Janela, and Jimmy Havoc having the chance to steal the show as well. And let's not forget, I mean, gosh, man, Pac versus Kenny Omega. That could be an amazing match. The only thing that makes me not think it would steal the show is because there's nothing there that's really meaningful other than we get an awesome match.
Yeah.
Adam Page versus Chris Jericho right there. You have the young versus, dare I say, the old. I won't say old, the veteran. And, I mean, we finally get the chance to see who is going to be the first ever AEW World Heavyweight Champion. And that's just awesome to me. So really, if I had to choose anyone, I have to go with Adam Page versus Chris Jericho.
Yeah, I think that pop when the first champion raises the belt is going to be super freaking awesome.
Yeah, right.
For me, I think my 5-star match that'll come out of this, because I think you're going to see a lot of different stuff in it, is going to be that triple threat match with Darby Allin, Joey Janela, and Jimmy Havoc. These are 3 guys that, I'm starting to just get a hold of them here in these last few months. I love their gimmicks. All 3 of them have a kind of a different, outlook on stuff, but it's Team I Hate My Body, so it's going to be some crazy jumps, some crazy stunts. I'm pumped for it. I hope Darby Allin comes out on top of that because I kind of got a soft spot for him, but that I think will be my match.
Yeah, right. I feel like me and you have to have some sort of like shot for shot picks our predictions, and whoever loses has to take a shot for each match.
We'll do that scorecard thing, and whoever wins each bucket, that's who you have to do a shot.
There we go. Can it be a shot of water?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we party. You can hear my voice. We partied way too much last night.
Yeah, right.
You're beating off the ladies left and right. You're like, go away, go away. It hurts your voice. You can only handle so many.
When they keep attacking us, Shawn, I have to stand up for my brother.
Well, let's jump into our main event. So this is this week's main event question. And I want to know, Party Johnnetty, what will you be doing between All Out and the first AEW on TNT show, which will be about 4 weeks?
I tell you what, I feel like this would be a perfect video segment because it's basically going to be me staring at paint drying, watching my grass grow, twiddling my thumbs, just being antsy, waiting for TNT and All Elite Wrestling. It's going to be crazy. I don't know what I'm going to do. September is such a, dare I say, depressing month because it leads back to the school year as a kid when you have to go back to school after summer, and then you don't have all the cool fun stuff like October. So it's just you're waiting there forever and what seems forever. And you're like, how many days are in September? 60, 62?
I think 65 is the last I counted.
Yeah, right. So yeah, it's going to seem like it's going to take forever. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm trying not to get lost in all the partying and all of the craziness. I don't want to be on a Netflix series called Narcos or something like that. So it's definitely going to be me trying to keep my mind steady and ready and getting going.
be PodRockers inside the ring. What happens when you give them 65 days without a wrestling event? No, I mean, like, you think like Fight for the Fall, like, because we had Fyter Fest, and 2 weeks later we had Fight for the Fallen, so it was like perfect there. This month up to getting to All Out feels like an eternity. So you're going to get that hype, you're going to get that champion, and then you got another 4 weeks to wait. Like you said, September is a long month when it comes to, it's not quite yet fall. It's still summer. You got school, you got work, you got all this stuff going on. Waiting for that first show is going to take some time. And I'll be watching Being the Elite, be watching a Road Twos. I might look to see if there's any independent shows coming around my area. Maybe I'll do that to get some of my wrestling fix. But
there you go.
It's going to be a tough time because I'm kind of curious if they might have hurt themselves by not maybe trying to sneak in the AEW on TNT maybe like mid-September instead of waiting till October. I know there's probably a bunch of stuff that went into it, but I'm wondering if that 4 weeks is going to they're going to get a big hype and then kind of drop off a little bit again, but we'll see.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. If anything, wrestling fans are going to find their fix. So,
oh yeah.
It definitely, I wouldn't be worried too much about them, but yeah, I think I'm going to be working on my arms and legs big time. So
there you go,
hitting the gym more.
Get in that pump before we go to Charlotte, 'cause I think that's where we got booked for the first show.
Yeah, that's right.
Spoilers. Well, we love getting a little cheap, so this segment might get us a little bit of heat, so that's why we call it Cheap Heat. So the PodRockers Cheap Heat segment is what we are not excited about for All Out, or kind of just the build-up that's happened. So Party Johnnetty, what's some things that you're not super excited about right now for the AEW All Out?
Well, if it's going to be a 5-hour pay-per-view, that's going to be hard.
Yeah, agreed.
That's always the hard thing with it. There's just a lot of wrestling and you don't want to burn yourself out with it. And definitely, I'm not a big fan of just having matches just to have them. I'd rather have meaningful matches. Like I said, the Pac and the Kenny Omega thing I think is great because even though there's nothing meaningful, there still kind of is, because Pac has this tension of, hey, you quit AEW before it even got started. You're a traitor. People can use that against him. That I'm not too worried about. It's the other ones. Even though I want to see some Joshi wrestling, I still am like, well, why is that on the card? And, are they going to be a part of the 21 Women Battle Royal? Also that SCU, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt match. Is it really necessary? Do we really need it? We'll see how it goes. And, I think that's kind of my main concerns for All Out. And who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with it? It could really make or break them. If this show isn't good, if this show doesn't have people leaving going, wow, they're going to have big trouble, especially with a month away before the TV show starts.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about, the buy-in on this, what it's going to be like. Because I think Fyter Fest and Fight for the Fallen did pretty well for it being a free show. Here you got a $50 price tag on it. Like, how's that going to be? But yeah, I mean, like, kind of my cheap heat for this, like, Moxley being out was kind of disappointing. I understand the safety reasons for it, so I'm completely fine with him, being out because of that. Really was excited for him to be there, though. And the other little bit I have too is it's just there's been kind of a lack of story. They've touched on a lot of these matches, piece by piece, but it's been like a 1 or 2 minute segment that some of them have been like a month back, and so they're kind of like, oh yeah, I remember they had this bit they did where they did this whole thing, but it's just kind of been taking a little bit to get in gear, so you kind of forget about a lot of that stuff going on, but. That's just kind of the nature of how this is set up. Obviously, once they get into a TV show, we've got 2 hours of TV, probably a Road 2 type thing, probably the Being the Elite. So we'll still have a lot more content coming up in October. It's just getting to that content.
Yeah, right.
All right, so let's jump into our mark moment. So these are the things we're wanting to mark out on for All Out. So I have a handful. For like me, one of the big things is surprise me. Like, I want like what happened at Double or Nothing with Moxley. Like, I want us to be there and see some guy come out or some gal come out in like the 21 over the top rope battle royale that you're just like, oh shit, how the hell is this person here?
Yeah.
Like you said, Arn Anderson would be something like that. Maybe, I talked about like Lita, although I don't think she'd kind of give me like, that'd be more of like, oh, cool, it's Lita. But, something like that would just be exciting.
Yeah, right.
And this kind of goes into who's Cody's +1 too. Like if it's Arn or somebody crazy like that, like I just want to pop for that. The women's battle royale, I'm excited to see that too. Like again, that's another moment. But I want to see the big thing I want from this. Like I want to mark out like I did back in WrestleMania when Shawn Michaels won the World Heavyweight title for the first time. That's the kind of moment I want here with the title match. I want to see this amazing battle. I want to see the champion win it, and you just like get these crazy emotions because you're seeing either somebody achieve a dream that they've wanted to for their entire life, or you see the veteran come in and capture the title that he's wanted for the last 6 months. Just would love to see something like that.
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
But
yeah,
what do you have for some Mark moments?
I gotta say, not terribly too different from you. I would love to have a surprise, man. I know I don't want to dare say his name, but like you can't avoid it. There's just been the talks with CM Punk. Could you just imagine if CM Punk came out somewhere or with this? That would be absolutely insane. Is it going to happen? The possibilities? Probably not. But still, the hope. There's still that hope. And if they got someone like him, then you're definitely not going to have to worry about that month off.
Oh, yeah.
I know also. Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, he's a guy he's kind of one of the reasons I got back into wrestling a little bit, like when he was kind of getting hot. Mm-hmm. I loved his character. I loved his style. The outside of wrestling stuff has really turned me off from him.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, like, I know, like, a lot of people have talked, it's like he doesn't really want to come back to wrestling, so I'd hate to see him come back just for a paycheck, because I feel like that'd be super toxic to AEW.
Yeah.
So, if all of that is just, like, a shoot, like, he's actually, like, he wants to be in wrestling, like, I'd be all for that. But if it's going to be, like, I'm here for this cash cow paycheck, then count me out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, the things that make me think that no, that's not going to happen is the fact that just recently it was reported that Fox or CM Punk's agent reached out to Fox to actually see if they would be interested in having like CM Punk do his own wrestling show on Fox about the WWE, which is like absolutely insane. It's so insane that it's like, that can't be real.
Yeah,
but
I would imagine
apparently
Vince
it's
would
true.
nix that.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I don't know, but then again, Eric Bischoff said it best, controversy creates
That's
cash.
True.
So
that is very true.
Absolutely.
You take reality and you turn it to 11.
Yeah. Yep. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen there? I think, like you said too, with the whole Cody and Shawn Spears thing, and I have to say it bothered me so much not remembering what it was, and I have to. It's like we're gonna make it a segment. John corrects himself, and it was actually so Dustin Rhodes and Barry Windham. It was a WCW Halloween Havoc 91, and Dustin Rhodes and Barry Windham show up, and Arn Anderson and Larry Zbyszko attacked Barry Windham and smashed his arm into a car door. So please forgive me as I get Arn Anderson and his tag team partners mixed up. So,
I can't believe you did not remember that from the early 80s or late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm only one man.
This is why I get booked, because I don't know anything.
You go in, yeah, exactly. You keep your mouth shut and your ears open, and I'm sitting here making false claims. That's why no one wants to book me.
I'm like Larry Biscuit and, CM Dunk. Come on now, let's do this. They're like, what'd you say?
Oh, man.
All right. Well, as we're tidying up, let's jump into a little bit of news. We talked a little bit about this, but they just announced that, and who announced it has got me excited, but they announced that AEW on TNT will be coming to Charlotte, North Carolina. So November 6th at the Bojangles Coliseum, they'll be having the next announced AEW on TNT. So I guess I'm excited for all of them. I'm not going to be able to go to this one. It's kind of far away, but cool that they're announcing that one. They didn't announce two this time. I didn't hear if the last two have sold out. They were pretty quiet on that, so I think there's still tickets available. So I don't know if that's kind of teetering down a little bit, but I like that they're kind of slow rolling some of these locations out.
Yeah, right. Definitely the Charlotte. I think we might even have called that.
Yeah, you did. You said that you thought they'd kind of make it back through Charlotte.
Yeah, the Carolinas for sure. So yeah, definitely. You're right. They didn't mention anything about a sellout for these last shows. Maybe they didn't, or maybe they're close to it, but I don't know. It was cool. Still cool to see. And, like I said, I think really you're going to see it start to peter out when, they actually are on TV and whatnot. And like the whole idea, like the whole gimmick of AEW kind of settles. Not saying that it's going to die out or anything, but I mean, you get to see the product on TV and whatnot. So like, it's just like with anything that's brand new, everyone's excited about it. But then once it starts settling, then you're going to see the true fans and whatnot that stick with it. Yeah.
I'm curious if like people in that area went ahead and tried to get tickets kind of outside, like, 2-hour drives. So it's like, well, I already got tickets here, so I'm not going to get tickets here. So
yeah, right.
Kind of curious how the strategy's playing out. But again, we're getting these out. Hopefully, I know they said they're going to have big announcement about AEW on TNT at All Out. So maybe they'll be announcing more venues or more matches. But again, hopefully they're making their way further or closer to us so we can check it out. But the big news from this week that I'm super excited about is that AEW has signed veteran commentator Tony Schiavone to a multi-year deal. Now, I love Tony Schiavone. He's probably my number 2 next to JR, because I was big into WCW before I got into, I kind of went to WWF, then went to WCW when it was kind of kicking off, but then went back. But the one thing that surprised me, I didn't realize Tony Schiavone had both his ears pierced.
Yeah, I know,
blew
man.
my mind.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I saw that and I noticed that too. That's funny, man. I totally was thinking the same thing. I'm like, oh, wow. Huh. Cool. Good for Tony.
But yeah, I'm excited. It sounds like it's going to be him, JR, and Excalibur, which I think will be a good team. So has Schiavone and JR, they never commentated together, right?
Oh, man. There might have been some crossing when Tony went to WCW and JR was just getting ready to leave.
To leave, okay.
Yeah, so there might have been something, but there's nothing in my head. And at that time too, like Tony, I don't even know if he was really commentating so much as he was kind of backstage personality, like interviewing guys and whatnot. Yeah, I don't know when he actually started doing the commentary, when he switched from that and was like just full-time commentary instead of just like a mic man. But yeah, I think if anything, there's a little cross-contamination between the two of them, but nothing that I could think of where they both sat at the commentary table and did commentary together.
I know Tony Schiavone's been doing some Major League Wrestling, MLW. Have you checked any of that? Has he still kind of got it like what you remember back in the day, or have you had a chance to check any of that out?
Yeah, I've checked out MLW. The stuff that I know is with Jim Cornette commentating with the other guy, which I apologize, I don't know who he is. But I haven't seen anything really with Tony Schiavone on it, so I don't know. I don't know what his role is or was with them.
Well, motherfucker, the only person you listen to is me, motherfucker. But I know he probably doesn't have as much ring rust, I guess, hopefully. But yeah, that when that was announced today, I kind of felt like that was going to happen. So, but I'm pretty pumped that we have it official.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. It was awesome to see.
But all right, so as we're coming to a close, we'd like to remind you guys, PodRocker Nation, that we have our From the Stand section. So when AEW All Out happens, send us that feedback. And if you want to send your gimmick as well, record that gimmick. Send it to us at PodRockers@BElite.com. All right, Party Johnnetty, what do we have coming up next?
Our next episode, we will be bringing you our review of AEW's pay-per-view All Out taking place August 31st at the Sears Center Arena in Hoffman Estates, Illinois.
Oh, yes, the place where All In happen. All Out's coming up next. So excited for this. So PodRocker Nation, remember, you can reach out to BEP by following us on Twitter at BElitePod and Instagram at BElitePodcast. You can email questions, comments, or those amazing badass promos to PodRockers at BeElite.com. You can like us on Facebook by searching for BElitePod.
Well, we are desperately out of time for this week's Be Elite Pod, but until next week, I'm Party Johnnetty.
And I'm Shawn Michael saying so long from our BEP Home Elite Studios.
And remember, get off the street and be elite.